Do you guys find it odd the response you get in general from the places that you play? Because it's not an internal band. It's not for the guys that are posted necessarily. I'm sure that may or may not, I don't know if that happens a lot. But when you go out, because it's outreach, like you said, Rob, because it's outreach to the public around the world, does the responses strike you? And if so, how?
We definitely have to build the rapport with our audiences from the ground up. We have to build the audience from the ground up.
How do you, give me more, how so?
Just from the very fact of not being a named rock band a lot of times. We may have some publicity beforehand, but sometimes they just see some guys setting up on the beach. We're sound checking, and we start playing some songs. People like it. A few more people kind of come in, and then they start kind of figuring out. They see us playing in uniform, and I think that is kind of confusing for some people sometimes. They're the musicians, they're playing rock and roll, they're in the military.
Right.
So
it must be kind of weird for them.
But then after a while, that sort of breaks down, and they just enjoy themselves. The audience just starts enjoying, get through that initial, what are these guys doing here? And it's like, oh, they're playing good music.
Now, I've been in Korea for almost 2 years, and what continues to strike me is that people are people. And I know it sounds so weird. And Ian, you said you're from Virginia. Mark, where are you from?
I'm from Texas originally.
Okay, Bruce?
Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay, Rob?
I'm also from Virginia.
Okay, and Jose?
Miami, Florida.
So pretty much, that's a good sampling of the U.S. There's no Pacific Northwesterners, but that's okay. We won't hold it against anybody. But in general, when you see people respond to music, it's always shocking, but it shouldn't be. Do you think that the American music specifically is more of an outreach than anything else that could possibly be there because of the proliferation of the American culture? Or is that really deep?
That's a great question.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Go on. Now, can you answer it?
I'll give it a try.
Sure. Swing away.
I think more generally, I don't think it's necessarily American culture or American music so much as music, period.
Okay.
That becomes the universal language in a lot of cases, especially when you're going into a lot of different cultures, a lot of foreign cultures that you don't have any experience with. But there's this thing that can transcend those differences and kind of give everybody some commonality.
Well, that leads me to our next song, which is quite possibly one of the most famous songs in the world. It is originally done by the Beatles. Let It Be, Orient Express, TBS eFM.